it dramatic much. Party pooper. Hello, I'm the FanFic Critic. I read it, you listen. Who here is into racing? I'm not. Does that matter though? No, because I'm going to be reading a fanfic about racing. The fanfic is called The Legend of the Racer with No Name by Neo Spearblade. It's rated T, it's in English, it has 1 review, and it was published back in April. Let's read the little note at the beginning of the story first. Wow, 3 years as a member here, and now I write one? I took too long. Anyway, it's me, Neo Spearblade, NSB for short, and I have this one shot for you. It's based on Import Tuner Challenge for the Xbox 360. It is a sequel to Tokyo Extreme Racer 3 for the PS2. Huh. It's a sequel to this other game, but the titles aren't really similar at all. That's kind of funny though, that a sequel to a PS2 game would be on the Xbox 360. You'd think it would be on the PS3. I don't know, maybe Microsoft just bought the rights to the game. I love this series just by how original it is, but that's a different story. Anyway, this one-shot was originally based on a line of dialogue that Midnight Cinderella spoke close to the halfway point of the game, but then it became about the last rival, the one racer that you can only challenge once you defeat everyone else, including the Wanderers. I warn you now, there are spoilers in this fic. If you have to be pretty far in the game to read this, but that won't stop you, now will it? Smirks. Well, it's going to spoil me completely, but then again, I've never played the game and I probably never will. In fact, I'm not even really familiar with this series, so at least the author kind of cleared some things up in its description. So enjoy my very first, in parentheses, published fanfic. I'll try to. It depends on how good your grammar is, and how good the story is. If those things aren't good, I'll probably be ripping my hair out by the end of this review. So for your own sake, hope it's good. I stopped my car at the Kandabashi area of the C1 inside loop as a black car roared away from me. I just lost a race to a new guy I've only seen 2 times. Okay, let's stop for a minute. Okay, people, tell me what's wrong here. Actually, there's 2 errors, but the one error that I first noticed is that they have the number 2 instead of the word 2. Just write down the word 2. T-W-O. It's not that hard to spell. And the other error, is that parentheses right there. The car, I mean, you don't really need to have that in there. I mean, we can kind of get what he means. He can, or if he really wants to be sure that the reader knows that he's talking about the car, he can say, I've only seen that car 2 times. That would make more sense than having it be in parentheses, because you want to know something? In professional stories, you do not see little notes in parentheses scattered throughout the story. It gets rather annoying. Let's continue. And he's already powerful than I am. And he's already powerful than I am. Don't you mean, and he's already more powerful than I am? I'm guessing you are wondering what just happened, right? Why did I, Midnight Cinderella, lost a race against a newbie, right? Don't you mean, why did I, Midnight Cinderella, lose a race against a newbie, right? That's what it should say, and get rid of the word right at the end. You don't really need that in there. The sentence has a lot better flow with it saying, why did I, Midnight Cinderella, lose a race against a newbie? Much better flow than having the word right at the end. Well, gather around, my friends, and let me tell you a story. Whew. I first saw him at the Kayobashi PA. I was here waiting for a friend of mine who says that he's got some info on a guy that came to the Metro 3 weeks ago, and right now he's late. Again, they use the number instead of the word, but at this point I'm just going to skim over it because I already pointed it out earlier. While I was impatiently waiting for him, the kid came to the PA in a midnight black, slightly modified Z33. At first, the subtle The subtle look of the arrows and the small spoiler on it meant that he'd like to keep to himself, but that thought was immediately destroyed by a big flame vinyl in red neons. If this guy thinks he's a ninja, he's an idiot. However, the engine surprisingly sounded deep, almost powerful, and I was proven correct when he parked his car and revved the engine, making the muffler scream with power before he turned it off. Okay, you spelled okay wrong. It's supposed to be O-K-A-Y, not just okay, because okay is just an abbreviation. Again, that drives me bonkers. It's not that hard to spell okay with an A-Y at the end. He's not a ninja and he's not an idiot, considering that he put money into the inside of the car instead of the outside. Then he opened his door, came out, and I got my first view of the guy. He looks like a 20-year-old, has about an average height for his age, and looked a little chubby. He was wearing a red t-shirt unbuttoned to show that he had a white shirt underneath, and he was wearing cream-colored cargo pants with matching slip-on tennis shoes. However, I couldn't see his face because it was blocked by the black hat he was wearing. I'm a little confused. Didn't you just state before the author went into this whole... before the protagonist went to this whole thing about losing a race to a new guy who he's only seen 2 times, and he means by the car. If he says he's only seen the car 2 times and not the actual guy, then if this is supposed to take place before that up there, then why is he actually seeing this guy? Maybe you should change what it says up there and get rid of the parentheses where it says the car I mean. Another one. Why is it that new guy's dressed like a stereotypical anime boy? To make an intro? Hell, he's even posing as one. It doesn't make sense. I looked at the other racers at the lobby, expecting some of them to laugh at how this guy looks. I was surprised to see that some racers were shocked to see him in the car. Dude, that's the car who beat me 3 days ago, spoke someone in a whisper. Same here. He only beat me 5 days ago, said someone else. Huh. How come I didn't hear this? He does have skills, that boy, someone said behind me. Really, I said to the guy behind me, knowing who he is by his voice. And you're late. Where were you? He ignored my second comment and continued. He beat my team and me. That's to be expected. Hell, your team is practically the starter team to beat when new racers pop up. Isn't about time you guys improved your machine? Shouldn't it say, isn't it about time you improved your machines? That's beside the point, of course. He also beat 2 other teams. I turned around and stared at him in shock and slight anger. How come I wasn't told this? Well, there are 2 factors for that. 1, you disappeared from the Metro 4 weeks ago to parts unknown. If you didn't, you would have known by now. Where were you, by the way? Stay on topic, I said with annoyance. He smirked and continued. 2, he suddenly came to the Metro 3 weeks ago, and he has been beating racers left and right. I scoffed. Is he trying to be like Oh, look at that. Fantastic Phoenix is challenging him. 3 teams now. Who is this guy? Don't worry, though. I had a look of surprise. What do you mean? He has made mistakes that cause him to lose some races. You're saying that as if I'm going to challenge the guy. Are you? Think about it. You're the fastest racer on the C1 loop at midnight, and now you hear that a new guy already has an impressive record of wins. Doesn't that interest you? He's got me. Huh. So when are you going to challenge him? Fine, I'll challenge him after he beats all the midnight teams. Then we'll see if he's... I was caught up by the sound of his engine starting. Surprising to hear that it roared with power as he left the PA and the leader of changing state right behind him. Strong as they say, I finished saying with awe. An hour later, the kid came back as well as fantastic. His team is fairly new around the Metro, but I know different signs that a racer does when they lose a race, and staying inside the car long after you turn the engine off is one of them, usually related to surprise defeats. I can't believe it. That's 3 teams now. But then, this is where it gets strange. The kid came out of his car as soon as he turned it off. I still couldn't see his face, but his body language told me everything. He went to the driver's side door of Fantastic Phoenix, being very relaxed while doing so, almost like he's a very laid-back kind of guy. He stood there for a minute, probably asking himself why Fantastic Phoenix won't come out of the car. After waiting another minute, he shrugs his shoulders and walks to one of the vending machines. He's been here for 3 weeks, and he's already destroying racer morale. That's it. I've had it with this guy. As I walked towards him, he had his back towards me, slightly swaying from side to side as he enjoys his soda drink. While he's patiently waiting for Fantastic Phoenix to come out, I stopped behind him and spoke. "Well, what do we have here?" He stiffened, not expecting someone to talk to him literally behind his back, but relaxes almost immediately. He doesn't move or turn around as I continue. "A new guy on the metro, and he's already defeated 3 teams?" He puts his drink on a nearby table slowly. I don't know why he did that, but I think that he realized that someone else knows of his record. "Well, I'm sorry to break the news, but if you are trying to find King Speed, he left the metro 3 years ago, so why are you here? And don't give me a stupid excuse, I've heard them all from newbies." He turned around and faced me. He still has the hat on, so I couldn't see his eyes, but I could see the rest of his face. From what I can tell, he's an outsider. He is of little importance. My skin tingles as a very cold chill ran down my spine as I heard his deep voice. You have the word "as" in there a bunch of times. Maybe you should break that up into 2 sentences. I look for a more legendary racer that has way more skill than King Speed, as it is fact that he lost to said racer. Rumors say that the race lasted 30 seconds. What? I stood there grounded as I hear this. I don't believe that there is such a racer. "What's this racer's name?" I asked. "No one knows. Actually, this racer is a mystery to everyone. No one has ever even seen his car." Bullshit. "I've been racing here for 10 years. I would have known of such a racer, so how do you know?" He challenged me. "Really?" "Yes. He sent me an email. No, I can't tell you the address because it was a fake one. The letter said, 'Rise above all others, and all of the answers that you seek shall be given.'" I looked at him in disbelief, but also with a look of curiosity. If he's joking about this, he sure is taking it seriously. And what about if he's telling the truth? I'll humor him. "Why are you looking for such a racer?" 2002. A friend of mine, known as Legend of Attacker, was challenged to a race, and he's never heard from again. Okay. People, take a look at this, please. It is apparent that this person mistaked an I for an L. I really don't get how you could mess up with that. See, I don't get how you could, because you'd have to hold down the shift key to make the next word, which would be I. So pretty much they spelled all completely wrong. It should be A-L-L, not A-L capital I. So let's continue to read. All I know is that I was talking to him on the phone, and he said that a dark purple car suddenly appeared like a freaking ninja and then dial tone. 2004, my brother, known as Strong Wind Destructive King, was also challenged. Also was challenged. He disappeared on the Wayne Gang line. Now, I ask you, what's the pattern? I raced against those two. Come to think of it, they were never heard from again after they got their names. They became the fastest racers during their careers, and a week later they disappeared. Whoever this guy is, he knows that I'm looking for him, and so he challenged me. As he raised his head, he continued, "And I'm gonna get him." And I saw beautiful dark green eyes staring back at me in anger, but also determination. Determination to get his answers. As he turned back to his car, I stood rooted to the ground. This kid, that apparently has a laid-back attitude, surprised me with his voice and a very different attitude. He then got in, closed the door, turned on the engine, and left. I still don't believe that this legendary racer even exists, but if he does, I get the feeling he's going to race me for his goal. As much as I hate to admit it, He speaks the truth. I let out the air that I was subconsciously holding as someone new spoke behind me. Really? I stutter. I am talking to the racer who is my role model, but that's not why I stuttered. It's because I don't want to believe that my role model was beaten that easily. Yes, the death of my girlfriend was not the only reason why I left the Metro. After I got the call that she was dead, I went to the Metro to get to the hospital that she was in. I don't believe that she's dead, I said in my head over and over. As I sped through the Wangan, that purple car appeared and flashed his beams. I refused, but he kept flashing. I wanted to get to the hospital, and I wanted no one to bother me, so I decided to race this guy to get it over with. I should have kept refusing. He shook for a bit, but continued. He shook, well, I don't know, I'm assuming they mean he shook his head for a moment, but... When the race started, he blasted off like a rocket. I tried to keep up, but he was way gone. I've never seen that kind of power. It's almost demonic. That race still haunts me in my nightmares to this day. I don't believe it. So he's not lying. He was telling the truth. And so here we are, at the Kandabashi area of the C1 inside loop, as the cold air of the AC kept hitting my face to cool me down. At that point, I was curious if he can do such feats to get him, so I decided to help him find his answers as who the teams are and how he can race the Wanderers to meet this guy. I also helped him with getting discounts on parts and gave him a place in my apartment. I really hope he can get his answers. But once he does, I don't want him to be the next Kingspeed, because that means he will leave Metro, just like he did. And that's the end of it. Let's read the author's note. So what do you think? Please review. Also, please note it took me 3 years to get this fic up and posted it after I made my account, so don't expect something else from me anytime soon. And they have a bunch of Easter eggs down here, but I'm not going to bother reading them. Okay, even though I'm not really familiar with the series, I thought that this fanfic was decently written. It had a good build-up. I thought the paragraph spacing was great. Story overall was good. A few grammatical errors, but it wasn't enough to make me go nuts, if you know what I mean. Overall, it was a decent story. I probably would have enjoyed it more if I was more familiar with it, but it got its point across. In fact, I'm not even sure if the game itself is really that popular or well known. I'm someone who actually games a lot. I have a 360, and I haven't even heard of it. But then again, I'm not really into the racing games. But overall, it was a decent fanfic. Well, I'm the FanFic Critic. I read it. You listen. Speaking of the 360, I'm going to go play some Bomberman Live.